crown bridge. This is a full arch on implants on the max and partial on the lower. Yeah, they got their place and they can look great. Conus is kind of a revisiting of an old telescoping peri-pros concept that we had, 5-degree abutments by Atlantis. Some places for it, the idea is they're removable and they feel like fixed to the patient. Some patients can remove them, but if they don't want to, it's easier, so we don't have to cut the screws and drill through and stuff like that. Okay, I've seen a really nice use for it, which really, patients with obstructive sleep apnea, once they lose their teeth, their condition gets worse because everything just collapses back. So they have to sleep with the dentures in, which has got its inherent problems. Something like this is where the patients can wear the prosthetic, they can take it out at night, can make a mandibular advancement appliance that clips onto those abutments. And it's a quality of life thing. It's a wonderful thing to treat these patients with obstructive sleep apnea that lost their teeth. I think that's brilliant. And this is a combination, this is a case I've done with Peter Peasy. It's a milled hybrid, milled titanium bar with 4 offset screws, 3 PFM bridges, optimal aesthetics, just beautiful, and something that I've designed so it can be removable. So there's many different options, like I said, as long as we have the correct diagnosis. Quickly going through screw retain. Basically, the screw retain, the advantage is no cement, and you can get away with a little bit less space. The problem is there's weakening of the prosthetics, and the screw accesses can be an issue with the angulated screw channels. Nowadays, we can manage some of that a little bit better. Cement, it's more aesthetic, it's stronger, but you're dealing with retrievability issues, and obviously the cement is a problem. These are old cases. I prefer screw retain when I can in my practice. You can get some of these margins exposed over time. So these are the different measurements that you need to keep your options open. If you have adequate bone, typically all your options open. 15 millimeters will keep you out of trouble, typically, okay? I prefer screw retain when I can, but that doesn't mean that's the way it has to be for all cases, and I try to hopefully outline. So, lots of information. If we get them organized, maybe I can go through it with you guys, how I think about these cases and how I present it to my patients. Is she on fire yet? No, not moving too fast. That's good. So this is Andrew. You guys met him earlier. He came into my office. He brought a piece of paper, magazine, picture of a 20-year-old model saying, I want my teeth to look like that. So I'm like, oh, red flags, here we go. What he was trying to communicate with me is he wanted some origin. He wanted the teeth to be aligned correctly in his mouth. He didn't want to have a cat. So I was able to track down some of his older models. AAP4, severe periodontal disease, lost his teeth about 4 years ago. He's got his immediate dentures have been relined. Looking at the upper arch, wonderful ridge, lower arch, adequate attached gingiva, really good, decent bones, a little bit thin on between the incisor foramen, but it's okay. So I go through the steps that I talked about to plan and evaluate his smile, where the teeth go, where we're gonna end up. We're gonna do a risk assessment for him. I mean, he doesn't have any teeth, bite we can manage, dental fissures, got moderate smile line, but periodontally, I still give him a moderate risk because there's plenty of studies that show if you have been at some point had severe periodontal disease with your dentition, you're prone to having complications. You're more prone to perioimplantitis after treatment. Now, it does help that he hasn't had teeth in his mouth for about 4 years, right? It does help because the flora can change. So, Andrew, are we having a smile we used to have or a smile we never had? Andrew liked the smile he used to have. This is the picture he brought in with him, right, at that first appointment. Didn't like some of the crowding in the front, but he was happy with the smile he had. Okay, so we're gonna start driving towards that. Do we need lip support? I've shown you guys this case. Yes, we do need lip support for this patient. So, what's the decision tree gonna look like? Andrew, I can make a conventional denture on the max. It's gonna look good, it's gonna be retentive, at best it's gonna function at 20% your chewing efficiency. Implant system, yes, I can give you 4 implants, I still can give you the lip support, I give you a denture, but I can take the palate away. It's got higher risk because I don't have the cross-arch civilization, and you have a history of periodontal disease, so I'm a little bit worried, but it's cheaper. Can I go implant supported? Yeah, it's most like your natural teeth, there's very little to no movement, That's the one that I think you benefit most and you function at this. Okay, that's where I want to go at. Wonderful. Since you need your lip support, Andrew, I can't give you something that's fixed. I'm sorry. I have to give you something that's removable. Okay, well, we're going to do a milled bar, and we're going to give you a removable prosthetic. When you put it in, it's not going to move, but you'll be able to remove it, to clean it, to be able to get underneath the flange that I need for your lip support. Great. So what are my options? We can do locator attachments, we can do MK1 attachment, or Marius type bar. Great. I use it on the platform. This 14 to 18 millimeters of space. I got a ton of space. No problem. Where am I going to place the implants? I'm going to do 6 implants on the max. That's typically my preference. I do cuspid, bicuspid, and molar positions. I have lots of space, so I don't need to do very much bone reduction. I'm not going to do angulated implants. Why? Because they increase complexity for me. So when I don't need to, I don't do it. When I do, I will do it. In this case, I just have to do 2 little sinus bumps, and I'm there. So why do that? I prefer direct screw retain. I do guided surgery in this case for speed because, as you see, the lower arch is involved, and delayed implant loading. 7 years ago, I used to never load upper arches immediately. Then I started doing some. I felt like I started to lose some control over the aesthetics. I find it that for the maxillary arch, I tend to keep the patients in dentures. I can work through the dentures with them, and it's not such a dramatic problem for me. Okay? I can manage the loads on the implants, and I don't need to do the conversion. It's my preference in the practice. Lower arch, totally different story. Anytime that I can, I do the conversion. Just my preference. So here's the guided case. We designed it, and we go on. So now, before I do the guide, we do the lower arch. Conventional denture, not an option on the bottom, right? It's not a good treatment option. Can I do implants? Just say, yeah, sure, Andrew, I can do 2 implants for you. If you're going to pick the complete upper denture option, the lower one with 2 implants works beautiful. But I can also give you something fixed. Can we go that route? Sure. Andrew likes to have it fixed. Lip support is not an issue. I can do it cemented, screw retain. I picked the hybrid acrylic because we're doing a denture acrylic on the top. And these are some of the options that were available to him. 6 implants in this case, 4 in between the foraminal, 2 distal to it because I had the room. I don't need to angle those 2 implants on the front because I got room. It's amazing how many cases that I see that the anterior implants are angled, but there's tons of room distal to the foramen. So if you're trying to get a P spread correct, it's just way easier. Do the guided surgery, and in this case I did immediate delay, but today I would do it immediate, and this is the plan. So because I was worried about meeting his expectations, I duplicated his denture. I use it as my custom tray. I take an impression. Here are the impressions on upper lower. I face fold this duplicated denture, and I use my platform to communicate to the lab. I get to skip the occlusal rim phase. I get the teeth right into wax try-in, and we put it in the patient's face. I don't move into the next step till this is right. I do as many appointments as it takes. This is my ballroom. Once I get the approval on the vaccine, then I can go to the next step. So once he was happy, he wanted to show no pink, by the way. So for me, I would have made the teeth a little bit longer, but one of his criteria was no tissue, no pink showing at all. No problem, man. I duplicate those dentures. I use them to fabricate my prosthetics, and then we go here, we go. Now this is not a fully guided, it's partially guided case, okay? I put the implants in, I leave the last drill out. I take the guide out, I do my crestal osteotomies, I do the sinus bumps, I do my final drill so I can feel the bone. I know if it's soft, I know if I manipulate things, if I use my densover to expand it, I have all my options open. Then here are the implants go in, 4 months later, 3 months later, I take my impressions, I'm gonna cruise a little bit. Face bowl, using the impressions are made from the original dentures. I make custom trays, I can face bowl those, I can send it to the lab on the platform, get them to the wax try-in, to the final restorations, and here we go. So before and after, just acrylic. I'm meeting hopefully patients' expectations. And this is a 6-year post-op I got from the referring office, which I'll share with you guys. Quickly, the last case. This is Candace. I've seen Candace earlier for a bunch of treatment, didn't end up happening. By the time I saw her, the bridge in the upper right side has been blown out, overload, cement wash up. The front teeth have class 4, maxillary incisor teeth have class 4 mobility. So we decided to meet her expectations and needs, we're going to sacrifice 1 or 2 teeth that are still reasonable, and we're going to go with a complete restoration, a complete arch. Candace, smile you used to have, you smile you never had. She wanted the smile she never had. She never liked her smile. She was in the consult room with her daughter. She goes, I like my daughter's smile. So I took a picture of her daughter's smile. So okay, let's work on that. We planned where the teeth go in the face. We evaluate the risks. High risk biomechanics because the teeth are failing. There's decay, there's film restorations, everything else like that. The decision tree. Candace, I can give you a conventional denture. It'll look good, 20%. Implant assisted, I can do it. You're gonna have a flange. You actually don't need the flange because you don't need the lip support. Maybe I can give you something fixed. It'll feel most like your natural teeth. Yes? Since I don't need the lip support, I can do a cemented or screw retainer. This case today, I will go to my friend and I do that zirconia hybrid because aesthetics are there. It's spectacular. Didn't have it at the time. So I decided to do the acrylic, 6 implants. I need to do bone reduction here to have the space that I need. Rest of it is very similar. This is just a treatment plan that I present to the patient. I don't know if you can see it. Health history-wise, her sugars weren't really well controlled. A1C was around 7.8, 7.9. In my practice, if you're 7.8 or higher, I don't do implant surgeries for you. Type 2 diabetics, they're not controlled enough for me. So I got her in with a personal trainer, and we got her in with a nutritionist, and we got her into complete denture. Take teeth out, moved into complete denture, no implants placed there. She's starting to lose weight. She's starting to look good. We're starting to manage the sugars. By the time we proceeded to place the implants, her A1C is below 7, which is ideal. I used my, and that denture wasn't great. There was issues, and I'll work that through. I use it to make a guide. Again, it's not a complete guide. I start the process. I take it out. I finish my osteotomies. I bump my sinuses. I place my implants. Here they are. And a few months later, take the impression. Here's the x-rays, start working towards the final restoration, and here it is. Lower arch was gone. So did we do better than the smile she never had? Yeah. It's never a problem to do. I think we did better than his daughter's smile, for sure, right? But at least we didn't fall short. And this is Candace before and after. And I mean, she is ecstatic. She lost about 70 pounds. She's not on metformin or any other kind of medication. She's technically not diabetic anymore, which is lovely. These are some of the other patients that I've showed you that I was lucky enough to be able to share the cases with you guys throughout the procedures. These patients have become family to me. Me and my team will love them, and we think they love us in return. They're our biggest advocates in practice. Dr. Vass talks about being raving fans. These are my biggest raving fans, and they send me more cases than anybody else that I work with. And I'm lucky to have an opportunity to treat them, and they make me excited to go to work every other day. Thank you very much for letting me share this with you. Thank you. No, thanks.
All right, our CE verification code is C71720.